It's time for another Out of Bounds Rewind with Bo Bounds on ESPN 105.9 The Zone.
Katz, let's talk QB1, baby. All right, Luke Altmyer and Jaxson Dart. Do you have anything more over the last few days as far as the battle for number one in Oxford?
You know, it's like every time you think you're getting a read on it, it just kind of evens itself out. I know that Lane Kiffin has given the company line of, it's back and forth, and sometimes they do really good things and sometimes they do really bad things. But I mean, from what we have been there for, I mean, it is really, I really do think it is neck and neck in that regard. They make some. Jaxson Dart will make some jaw-dropping throws. He's known as a deep ball thrower, and he makes some pretty impressive throws down the field. And then he'll turn the ball over, and Luke Altmyer will be making some nice throws, and then he'll turn the ball over, or he'll get sacked, or whatever it is. I do think part of it is I do think the defense is maybe not getting enough credit for making things tough right now on the quarterbacks. I do think the defense is going to be quite good.
Hold on, stop real quick. All right, so you're sold that this they played really well the last 5 or 6 games of the season, and I think I don't know if y'all did, but I kind of overlooked that they were the reason why they ended up punching their ticket to the Sugar Bowl. I mean, it was that, and Corral was just carrying everything on offense. The offense was not that good down the stretch. Defense was. You feel like, and kind of the buzz and what you're hearing, that this defense could be even better this year than they were the last 5, 6 games of last year?
I think it's, obviously when you lose guys like Sam Williams and Chance Campbell and the sorts of guys they lost, you're always a little bit worried in terms of personnel. But they've, like they did with the whole team, they revamped things, they've retooled, they've reloaded. I think it's a really deep defense. Yeah, and obviously there's some questions, particularly linebackers, the one everybody's kind of talking about, just with not a lot of, proven SEC type guys. But everywhere on the defense, there's playmakers. That secondary, I think, is going to be a strength. There's a lot of bodies on the defensive line, and that's something that, the coaching staff has really kind of been trying to improve was, depth up front. Is it going to take another 2-touchdown, leap in terms of scoring? Probably not, because then I think that would make it like 11 points per game. But, I do think it's got a chance to put up the sorts of, numbers and the kind of impact it had last year. I especially think, early in the season where, the quarterbacks are still kind of, they are both sophomores, and, it's not going to be the steady hand that Corral was. I think leaning on the running game and the defense is probably going to be a pretty safe way to go.
So if you had to call it today, you mentioned that they're both talented but inconsistent and young. They haven't really played a lot. This league is 5 times better than the Pac-12, or maybe more.
How about the Big Ten? What about the Big Ten? USC's a Big Ten school now.
That's true. Yeah, your Southern Cal Trojans are now a Big Ten school.
Yes.
All right. So having said all that, if you had to bet a meal at Boo-Ray on it right now, which way would you go? Or a good bottle of bourbon?
It's really hard. It really does go back and forth. I mean, almost every day I'm there, but it's hard for it, not to see it being Jaxson Dart, just because I know. I'll put it this way: they're not going to play the guy who is worse. And if one is clearly worse in their eyes, they're not going to play that guy just because he's, got accolades or whatever. And, Lane Kiffin said as much yesterday. But I think that when you're looking at, like, the dynamics and in terms of what a guy can bring to an offense, I just think there's an added element that Dart brings in terms of, he might make you frustrated with a throw, that gunslinger mentality, but man, he's going to make some really impressive plays. And I think in a game when, it's live action and all that kind of stuff. I think he gives you a chance to do some special things, and that's why I think this scrimmage this weekend is going to be kind of interesting because you kind of see the live ball stuff, and we haven't really seen much tackling and all that kind of stuff. I think when it gets to live game action, I think it's going to be interesting to kind of see how the guys react.
Okay, I'll play devil's advocate. What if this weekend Altmyer outplays him like he did all during the spring in scrimmage 1?
Then I might owe you a bottle of bourbon or a Blu-ray. But it really is one of those things where I think when we all saw Dart, commit and all his accolades, and he was one of the top transfer guys in the portal. I think it was like from maybe our uninformed perspective, it was a foregone conclusion that he was going to easily be QB1, and it just hasn't been that way. And I don't think it's necessarily anything, and he kind of had it's got to be pretty wild as a guy who just turned 19 to be at his second college and learning a whole new scheme and all that sort of stuff. So I didn't take a ton out of spring in terms of the Grove Bowl and all that sort of stuff, but Luke Altmyer, it's not like he was a scrub coming out of high school. He's
not
a
at all.
Four-star kid. He could have gone to a lot of places. I know that really tough situation. There's back, but he also made one. So, maybe we didn't acquire enough credit for being a pretty talented kid in his own right. And it would not surprise me at all if he performs really, really well and does ultimately get the nod. Just talking to guys, it really does sound like, obviously they're going to play things close to the vest and they're going to say all the right things, but they feel pretty good about both guys because both guys are really talented, just in different ways.
Don't miss one moment of the Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds. Weekdays, 7 a.m. till 10 a.m. on ESPN 105.9. The Zone.